At 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we get US new home sales units forecast at 0.675 million on the prior 0.661 million, and US new home sales change forecast 2.1% on the prior 1.5%. And Brent futures rise by $1 to $86.43 a barrel. At 10 a.m. Eastern Time, we get US new home sales forecast at 0.675 million on the prior 0.661 million, and US new home sales change forecast 2.1% on the prior 1.5%. One minute remaining. I'll lead with new home sales. Ten seconds. 0.662 million, 0.662 million, lower than forecast 0.677 million. New home sales change minus 0.3%, minus 0.3%, lower than forecast 2.3%.
Morning, everyone. First PVZ zone's out now. Looks like for yes, we need to see acceptance over 82s and then a supportive bid to come off of that, or we are going down to 77s for a look at our value low. Currently trading within our balance or within value. Need to see a break out of value for expansion, or we will rotate the current value. Same thing for NQ, need to see a push over 85s and then for a supportive hold, or we are coming down to 66s first with a push down to 44s as our value low. Watching the Russell into 106, 104 area. It was alright. How about you? Very tired. Did I see anything good? I went to 2 concerts and I went to a movie this weekend. I finally saw Dune 2 and went and saw went to a hip hop show and went to like a just like a club night. So it was a busy weekend and I just want to sleep. Hibernation is what I need.
At 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, we expect comments from Bank of England's man who speaks at the Royal Economic Society annual conference, Industry Policy, boon or bane for productivity growth in Belfast.
I'm glad that they're making like a TV show. Every time I watch a Dune movie, I just want it to be a miniseries. I'm glad that they're doing that. Hopefully it's not trash. Oh, then it's gonna be good. Nice. That Chernobyl miniseries, banger. Where's the rights? Do you remember, Darren? The like HBO? It's by the Chernobyl. Dune. Oh, it's on Max. Yeah, yeah. So it's HBO. Thank God. Ooh, that's cool. The origins of the Bene Gesserit. Very cool. We need good sci-fi TV shows. What other news do we have coming up? Got a bunch of Fed speakers at 10:30. Home sales came out. That's really it. And just have 6 your note. Pretty chill day. See if we can get the break here. I want to see acceptance over 82s. This is good. We're seeing acceptance over 82s and NQs same time. We can get a supported bid on a retest here. Doesn't look terrible. I would have liked to have seen us come down a bit further, to be honest. But as long as we show a solid bid on the peers above, it's not the worst thing in the world. I need to finish the last season of Invasion. I liked it a lot at first, and then it kind of fell off for me. I don't know why. I was a big fan of it, season 1. I think it might be just like the child actors were a little, I don't know. I like stopped having something to root for, I feel like. I'll have to give it another shot. I really did like it at first.
At 10:15 a.m. Eastern Time, we expect comments from Bank of England's man who speaks at the Royal Economic Society Annual Conference, Industry Policy, boon or bane for productivity growth in Belfast.
I think it's just hard with stories like that when you have so many characters that you're trying to portray at the same time. That you had like 3 or 4 like major storylines going on where they were basically like skipping across the world and then trying to like keep it cohesive and keep you interested in all of them at the same time. It makes it really hard because like you'll care about one of the storylines but then like not care about, I don't know, one of like the American storyline, and then you'll be like really interested in like the soldiers storyline or like the people in the UK's, right? Like keeping you interested in all of the characters is really hard.
Israel Army Radio reports that PM Netanyahu will cancel planned delegation to Washington if the US does not veto the UN Security Council Gaza ceasefire proposal.
This is looking good, guys. Held our 82s, retested, push. Looking to see if we can get pop here. We are at our previous day, Friday's value area low at this 11 on NQ. So if we can get acceptance over this green zone, not terrible for a push up to 30s. You can see a retest at 10s, NQ. Not a ton to go off of on ES as we are in a gap. Gap target up to 290 basically. Then we should get a direction decision after that. Either, right, this gap fills and then we sell off and continue down, or we find acceptance here and are able to build over 290 for a test of Friday's range, right? We trade back into Friday value, or we reject Friday value. So it'll be a big test as we come up into this gap. We're about halfway through right now, which is usually your first inflection point inside. Good sign to let us know if we're going to get continuation or not is, can the Russell break outside of value, and can NQ show a supportive bid back into Friday's value, as these are the things that are leading on the day. This NQ test here will be pretty major. Let us know. Tech can carry. My voice is gone. Got a bag of Ricola. Struggling. Drugs? What?
Expecting comments from Bank of England's man. Yeah, I mean, this 10-11 area
on NQ is incredibly important if we can hold it. This is just a retest of value low from Friday. Our 2 periods. So like this is a recovery. Pretty significant if we can hold here. Kind of what I'm watching the most. There isn't a ton of volume, so I agree. Like if this this low can't hold on NQ, then we'll probably come back to 500 flat. And then if 500's flat, don't hold 5s again. So I'd really love to see the ability to kind of catch a bid here and then pop. This will become our offer point again. There's just for a supportive bid to really play off of. So far, so good. Need to see a bit more. About 1 here, retest of our highs. Could hold a value low though from Friday. Still looking for 30.
At 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we get Dallas Fed Manufacturing Business Index forecast -11.5 on the prior -11.3.
Watching Russell back into this low, 106.60. You need to see some relief here as we come back in the low of the range. If they want NQ to break out and ES to hold without coming fully back down to 82. Gonna rely on the Russell to be able to hold that value low. Morning, Ty. Morning, Manny. So far, solid bounce off of the Russell, giving ES some relief. NQ still holding. Just need to see some follow through now. Off that bounce off of our value low POC on RTY and ES off of the VWAP. There's first target here into 30s. We're looking to see our reaction into our previous, this is our Friday period value POC. So this area here is what I'm looking at as target. There it is, value high. Wrist off. Actually gonna just move this up to here.
According to Handelsblatt, leading German institutes expect GDP to grow by 0.1% in 2024, cutting the prior forecast.
All right, so let's go over that trade just so that everyone has an understanding. We saw that the Russell was coming back down into value low, which is this area here, off of PVZ, our 106.60 to 107.80. You can see that POC positioning is in the lower side, so as we approach down into it, we're looking for buy side to push off of it.
GDP growth in Germany.
We see that NQ has recovered our Friday value low off of our last PVZ zone and is holding it as supportive, so we're looking for a bid off of that area. Our first PT is if we've recovered that value low, we're looking for price to push back up to our POC to value high off of the recovery of the low. So that becomes our target. What we're looking for relief is the Russell to be able to find a low into this area where buyer value is. We're looking for ES to be able to hold our anchored VWAP, right, at the same time. So we have an understanding of where relief is expected, and we have an understanding of where NQ needs to hold for this target to make sense, right? The recovery of our value low, we will get a rotation back up to where the sellers were previously inside this rotation from Friday. Yeah. So RTY is our catalyst to give us the relief we need on ES for that continuation up. We know that NQ needs to be able to hold that 11 for that push up. And we know that that secondary move is going to happen if the Russell is able to find that bounce here, giving us our target into our previous area of value. Was the gap filled on NQ? Technically it has more room, but what we were playing, what I was just playing was off of the seller POC here from Friday session, and then just the recovery of that value with the lows. This buyer now has the potential to initiate again, which is what they're attempting. Not really playing the gap.
At 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we get Dallas Fed Manufacturing Business Index forecast -11.5 on the prior -11.3.
It's just one of these trades where I'm using Russell confluence to give me an immediate move on NQ. Because we can see that the Russell is just oscillating between value, low and high. So if we can find those areas where we expect relief to happen, right? We're seeing this oscillation. We see that it's in balance. So as it comes down into these lows, we look for buyers to show relief, and that gives NQ some fuel as well. Same with ES, right? So if we have an NQ pivot, we have an RTY pivot at the same time, I'm going to be expecting a bit more of a move than if it was just NQ or just the Russell. Less friction to the downside. Only reason I'm going over that is like that was my first trade of the day, but like that's like usually how I find it is like, okay, well, if I'm coming into the market late, like what can I play off of? Well, we do have these zones that have been created for us off of PVZ, so we might as well use them.
Also at 10:30 a.m. Eastern Time, we expect comments from Fed's Cook, who speaks on the dual mandate and the balance of risks at a lecture for students at Harvard University. Text is expected as well as a Q&A.
To initiate off of. That's all we have, right? So it's like it's nothing big, but like that's how I usually initiate on my first trade. It's like, okay, we build a thesis. We find an area where it's a very clear invalidation if it doesn't hold where we're gonna go. Patty doesn't have a 30-second opening range. It has a 15-minute opening range. It has never been 30-second.
Russia's loading of gasoline and diesel on domestic market rose 9.5% since the beginning of March. Interfax cites Russian railways.
Mario does not use the 30-second. I do. The 30-second, the 15-minute is Mario's opening range. Ty, I don't use. That's not a. What do you use? I don't know, man. I don't use Patty. I manually marked the 30-second, so I don't know why it's different. I didn't even know you could change the time frame on Patty, to be honest. I don't use it.
One minute remaining.
What does the little note say when you press I? That I in the circle. So greater than or equal to. So there's your answer. Back to our 82s here on ES. See if we can hold value. I want to see 82, 81 area on ES be able to show a supportive bid. failure to show this, then we will probably rotate down to the low end of this distribution, which is
Still waiting for
80s.
Dallas Fed manufacturing activity. In the meantime, Fed's Cook says artificial intelligence is a potentially significant source of productivity growth that will take time. Also says that there are risks to easing policy too much or too soon, as well as too late. Risks to achieving US central bank's employment and inflation goals are moving into better balance. And be careful to approach to easing policy over time and can ensure inflation returns sustainably to 2% while striving to maintain strong labor market. Strong productivity growth could mean faster pace of wage growth, not inflationary. And current low rate of increase on new rental leases suggests housing services inflation will continue to fall. The path of disinflation, as expected, has been bumpy and uneven. Inflation has fallen considerably, the labor market has remained strong. Artificial intelligence, a potentially significant source of productivity growth that will take time. Wage growth differential between jobs switchers and those staying in jobs has narrowed. Comprehensive measures of wage growth show gradual cooling. Dallas Fed Manufacturing Business Activity Index minus 14.4, minus 14.4. That's lower than forecast, minus 10.
Letting this news settle a bit. Russell leading down here. Back into our value low. Yeah, still holding our 82 to 81 area, but again, Russell showing a bit of weakness. I'm really just waiting for things to come down to our means here. I think a bounce at 104, 105 area on RTY seems pretty likely. Yes, just holding view up. Did that blurb answer your question, Ty? Greater than or equal to? Or it will be inaccurate? Most of our indicators have those warnings, so it'll let you know what you should be doing.
And we have posted Fed's Cook's full speech on the feed for all those interested.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I just marked the first 30-second candle. The big retest here on RTY, seeing if we can get back over this 106.60, or if we will now reject outside of balance. Good bounce on ES and Q so far, recovery of where we wanted. Need to see a bit more from the Russell here. Again, we're just looking for acceptance at our value high on ES. Want to see RTY back over 107.80. I'm out one. I don't like Russell leading down here. Watching as we come back into like 104 on RTY for bounce potential. Need to see the Russell find a low. ES and Q look fine. I'm leaving a runner, but I need to see Russell find a bottom. I'm thinking 30-second opening range high at 104 will do it. Another bounce off our 82s. RTY is still a bit weak under this 106.60. Need to see a bit more. Still at our 11s on NQ. If we fail to get back over like the 16 to 20 area on NQ, then we'll probably have one more leg down to see that become supportive again. Just waiting on RTY to find that low. We're just trading this distribution here. This is it on NQ right now. We just need to see if this low is going to hold. We know that the mid is our first rejection point, right, at this 20. Since your first risk off, 30 is your second risk off. This is the rotation that we're currently trading. We're finding buyers in this tail. We're seeing sellers in this tail. We need to see a supportive bid here for continuation up. Or we're going to see the mid rejection and then a push below our 11s, that offer, and that'll lead to more downside. Right? If we're currently trading this range, we're going to see a shift where either this will become supportive at our tail high, or we'll see rejections at our mid, the failure to find a supportive bid, an offer to step in lower, and then that will lead to a pop down.
Also after last week's rally, noting the S&P 500 currently down 0.14%.
Okay, well, I mean, it either happens here in this little dip, or Russell's gonna have to come down further, down to like 101. So I'd want to see basically solid bid right now on the Russell on this recovery of 104. ES at this 80.50, and Q still just holding this distribution. Waiting to see now if this 11 will become resistance, the offer lowers for that secondary leg down, or if we'll maintain this low. But I need the Russell to continue to bid here if we want that push. Off ORH. Russell reacting to our value low, trying to get back in off the hold of our opening range high at 104, but so far rejecting at value low, right? So we need to see a push back above that or more.
So the Bank of England sells 650 million pounds of bonds in auction and receives 1.22 billion pounds in bids. An APF gilt sale operation cover ratio was 1.87.
Big test here on the Russell, 106.60. Seller steps in there and we fail to breach back above, right? That'll probably lead to one more leg down. So if you're playing a Russell long off the 104s, good first risk off, 106.60. Now we wait to see if we get recovered back above this level, or if this will be our resistance across the board. Yes, still holding our 81, no problem, but we do need to see a push over 82s, and then for that to step in and become the bid again, or that will be resistance. I went long at, no, I did not. Did not go long on the Russell. Well, I'm glad that you agree, bud. Huge. Morning, Kevin. So I'm gonna just move this over so it's clear. We are at the mid, right? So if we want to see any continuation, we need to see acceptance back above POC here, or a rotation, another rotation to the highs. This continues to act as our sell level, right? And it only stick on offer, then there's probably not too much more. So we need to see this lift above. We've got the Russell working for us here off of our 30-second opening range high bounce. Now we are back to our POC. So this is a big area where either we now can rotate the full value rotation, right? Or this will be where our seller tries to stick. What I'd like to see off this is a retest now and the ability to hold off this 106.60 again, or just the recovery above POC for a push up to value high. This was probably more likely. The 106.60 retest recovery value. Heck, still weak. This is where I start to get interested on NVIDIA. Right back to our POC shift. I'd say this 5580 holds, or we're gonna come down to 52.7s. But this is now a full retrace. As soon as we find a low on tech, should be okay with the Russell now. Okay itself right off this bounce. Again, we need to see a push back over POC, and then if we head back up. But hoping NVIDIA finds a low here off of this previous buyer. Back to NQ POC here. Great first risk off into 16 to 19 until we see that become supportive. If you are buying the lower tail of this distribution, it's a good area to either move up stops or take initial risk off until we see that we want to go for the highs. What we're looking for is for a supportive bid to be able to step up on NQ over 18 to 20. Right, that 18 to 20 is where we want to see the bid then show a right, just defend on a look above. If we're going to hold and then go for the high end, the tail. So if I rotate this over, you can see that defined this edge here might be hard to see. We need to show this edge, right? This node supportive. Right now it's our resistance. This is our POC here in the mid. We want to see a look above, the ability to then bid here, and then a pop. And we can go for this upper edge. Watch the Russell as it comes into the high. If we don't have Russell continuation, then we've done the full right oscillation, and we should expect a bit of choppiness or downside if we don't see the ability to hold up here. Right? What have we done? Well, we bounced our 30-second opening range low, or sorry, opening range high. We then recovered value. We then found buyers at that 106.60 on retest. We then held POC. That's what we were looking for on a push above, and now we're back to our value high. So it's now done the full entire value rotation, and to expect more is a bit greedy. Until we see our 101060, right, hold as support, don't expect too much more upside. But if we can see this level become supportive, right, our value high, and a look above, then we will get more. Just like we saw in the Russell, we're now fighting for our POC on NQ. Right, same thing, same rotations where we found buyers in the lower end of our tail. We've now pushed up to our higher end of our tail after a hold of POC. We're now attempting that hold of POC. I don't know why I don't have, okay. For ES, nothing to really say. Our PVZ zone held as supportive the entire time, but we do need to see a push over 86s for anything else. Or you are just trading back up to the high of balance. So here's our test on RTY to our value high. Wrist off 2 here. Now we're just looking to see if we can break out of value or if we'll do another rotation through the range. So for this trade, what we were talking about was what? Russell coming down and finding that low into our opening range, right? NVIDIA coming back down to this POC, looking for a bounce there for tech ES being able to hold. So if we have that confluence, we can start to look for trades as we come down into the lows and look for secondary moves when we see what we're looking for actually play out. So like the Russell coming down in this low allowed ES to be able to hold, but it didn't really affect tech because we saw that tech still needed to come back down to value, right? So like NVIDIA still needed to come down further, but what we did find is a local pivot on both the Russell and NVIDIA at the same time for a secondary move on NQ. So as NVIDIA came down into this low, that called the bottom on NQ. But the Russell being able to hold value at this 106.60, right, our value low, gave us the ability for this interaction to happen on NQ. I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Us being able to hold value on a pierce above, plus tech coming down into support, gave us that secondary leg, which gave us our full retrace of value. Yeah, it's hard to catch in the moment if you aren't looking for it beforehand. If you don't have like an understanding of like the rotations, I can see it being hard. But if like you're planning for it, right, like you just are positioning around it. You don't need to catch the low, you just need things to hold levels that matter. And then you just maintain your position, maintain your risk, as long as those things are happening. So we have ES and RTY into our value highs. We have a bit more room on NQ, but I can see us pulling back first if we don't see NVIDIA be able to hold P here. So we need to see a bit of a lift. You want that 41, 42 on NQ before. Sorry, that was a bad way to explain. What I'm looking for here is, can NVIDIA now build out support here and pop? If it can do this move, then we should be able to get that push up to 42s, our value high on NQ. If it needs a bit more time and the Russell fails to break and ES fails to hold here, right, we might need one pull first before we come up to value high. Not too sure. As of right now, it looks good for us to come up to test this 42 first.
Fed's Cook says, not sure if neutral rate is higher or not. It will likely only know after the fact.
Up, Kev.
Fed bids for 3-month bills total $493.6 million, and Fed bids for 6-month bills total $473.3 million.
All right, I'm at 1 here into 42s. We come back up into the highs, so I'll look for that to become supportive. Just topped out my last contract there at NQ. Just waiting for the Russell to get with the program. NVIDIA still holding POC as resistance. Still really interested in this value low area on RTY to kind of show as our pivot. I think NQ is still fine. I just was on my last contract, which had a 31 average, so I had my stop below 30. We're just trying to build in this upper tail of our current distribution right now. My concern is that we might need to come down to 16s first before we get the pop over 42, right? So I'm risking off into our upper tail, understanding that this is resistance until proven otherwise. And that POC is at 16. So, right, like this, in our current auction, we're looking to see if value is shifted here to 16, or if we're going to need to do the full rotation back down to the lows. So as we come back down into 16, watch to see if a bid is able to step in and defend that. If the offer flips below that, look to see if sellers then aggressively defend that level. Until then, we are really watching for a supportive bid to be able to step in here over and over and over again. At the end of the day, like, everything's just flagging. It's not a big deal. Like, it doesn't look bad, but again, my average on my last contract was just on an average up, so I need to wait for a better entry. I should have gotten back in at those lows, but I think 16s just
In
made
10
more
minutes time
sense.
at 11:30
So I did
a.m.
not.
Eastern, we have the US sells $73 billion of 3-month bills with a prior bid to cover of 2.81 and a prior high yield of 5.245%. We also have the US sells $70 billion in 6-month bills with a prior bid to cover of 2.76 and a prior high yield of 5.13%.
There will be other opportunities at either the hold the value high on NQ or the pushback down to POC. No biggie.
In 5 minutes time at 11:30 a.m. Eastern, we have the US sell $73 billion in 3-month bills with a prior high yield of 5 spots 245% and a prior bid to cover of 2 spots 81. We also have the US sell $70 billion in 6-month bills with a prior high yield of 5 spots 13% and a prior bid to cover of 2 spots 76.
Yeah, I mean 16s are here. It's not bad for a scalp, but I'm still waiting on the Russell to come down into this value low here for the actual move. But I don't think it's bad at 16s for just the scalp entry. Watch what happens, Russell into 108.2.
Shortly expecting the results of the 3 and 6 month bill auction, I will lead with the 3-month high yield.
Go free. Yeah, I don't think that's a bad trade for you. And like again, you just either are already in a long, you're taking profits into value high, or you're looking for a short if we're failing to show any sort of supportive bid above it, right? So like there's always two options. It's the good thing about playing like the value edges is you're either taking profit or you're looking for a directional move in the opposite direction. Or both, I mean honestly, but I usually tend to not play both rotations. Feels a bit much. rather just take profit into one side and then just chill. Give myself a second to figure out what the hell's going on.
Five spots 2-3%, 5.23%, and for the 3-month bid to cover ratio, that's 2.88. The US sells $73 billion in 3-month bills at a high rate of 5.23%, awarding 41.93% of bids at high. And the 6-month bill auction high yield is 5.105%, and the 6-month bid to cover ratio 2.72. The US sells $70 billion of 6-month bills at higher rates 5.105%, awarding 61.77% of bids at high.
So far, solid bounce off of Russell Valley low and our NQ16s. Again, just need to see a breach over 108.20 on the Russell, or we are going to continue to trade this range. I think Aram and Ty both use AMP. They seem to like it. I haven't tried it. I think if you're good, trade day is good, but if you're not ready, it's not worth. Like it's good if you know you can pass an eval. But if you're still in like that gambling mindset, don't use trade day because they'll ban you from like try again. Like if you don't already have good risk, if you're not risk averse already, they will be like, we do not want you on the platform, and then make it so that you can't get a new account. Platforms? I mean, those are all good. They're fine. Motive Wave is fine. I mean, all the platforms are fine. Oops, I'm sorry. Especially if you're using like our tools, then you literally just need a green and red button. Because like the platform literally doesn't matter as long as they have real-time data. All of your technicals are being done on TradingView. We are back up to NQ value high off of the hold of 16s. Great risk off until we see this become supportive. Attempting now. Looking for the Russell again to build over this 108.2, or it is resistance. Same thing for ES into our 85.75, right? Value highs will remain value highs until proven otherwise. Need to see a shift above for expansion. Yeah, Quant Tower's fine. I've used it. Again, all the platforms are fine. Like Adrian said, you just need a green and red button. Especially if you're paying for our indicator. Like, you don't even need level 2 data on your broker. Soon, Gav. Actually soon. Good push over 108.2 on RTY. Next target above is at that 110.20 for the full balance retrace. Watching ES here react at our highs and see if a buyer is willing to step over this previous high where we saw a bit of absorption. So I think this is a great example of what I was talking about, where 16s made for a really nice scalp, but it wasn't a great continuation trade until we saw the Russell actually come down into our value low. Right? It gave you multiple scalping opportunities playing off of the 16, but the real break was when the Russell also found a supportive bid, and then the overall market was able to breach outside of that the smaller range, right? So this is a great example of understanding when the market has full strength, right? All three participants pushing and only one indice pushing at its local level. So the same level on that interaction resulted in a much larger move as soon as the Russell was able to find that low as well. So people that are like, I don't know how to play with it, just you literally wait for everything to come into an inflection point. And then the exact same move results in double the points. What's up, Sauce?
Hamas welcomes UN Security Council ceasefire resolution on Gaza.
Later, Cass. Great trades. Don't think I'm gonna do a full session today. My voice is shot, and if I continue, tomorrow is gonna be rough, especially with class after hours. Just an FYI, but Mario will be here, so you do have that. I at least won't be talking. Maybe I'll trade if it looks good, but I'm gonna mute. Just like really, I'm on the verge of losing my voice.
Bitcoin rises above $70,000, now up 5.8% on the day.
Yeah, all well, is. So we just need RTY to hold balance to. I mean, maybe. You know, I mean, once you find an oscillation, right? Like, it's play it until it doesn't work. Like, we have our clear value high, clear value low, and a POC in the mid. Now you have your range of risk. You're looking for buyers to find value into this low. You understand that this is your first risk off in mid, and you understand that you shouldn't be looking for any more longs until we see a very clear hold over value high. So you have a really nice range oscillator to understand where we are in the overall market. And until that shifts, there's really no reason to look for anything. Say like we do get the push below value low this attempt, and we see that buyers are unwilling to defend here, and we push below, then we'll play back down to the opening and look to see if we did a double bottom again at that 104. But like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Keep it as a risk oscillator like this. Look to see if buyers are still willing to defend that, and if not, we look to see where they were last time. And see if there's any confluence with tech as it pushes down into that low. So if we see that the Russell's finding buyers again, value low, and that NQ is also at a pivotal area, and ES's as well, then that's something that you look for. So like for me, I'm watching to see if NVIDIA can hold this value high here and recover our ETH high for continuation up, or if is it going to need to come down to our low target first. And if it does come into our low target at this 49.3, with the Russell also coming down into that value low, that'll be where I'm really interested to look for and to bounce. Because then we have both things coming. But right now we're just battling with value low on the video. We need to see if that'll hold or if we're going to need to back down. It's rotating ticks around 0, incredibly neutral market. like 3. This is ESVWAP. This 75. You just see if buyers are still willing to defend this, or if we have one more leg down. Nvidia kind of in an awkward spot where we're rejecting value high, previous value high, now our value low. I think we probably have one more leg down. Just kind of waiting on Nvidia to decide before I look to take anything. I want us back over ETH high, our overnight high at 54s, or I want us down at 49. So we're kind of just in the middle. Russell at the bottom of our pivot, where you can start to look. But again, tech seems a bit mixed still. Right, this is video coming down into that low. If tech can find a bid with also NQ coming into. If the Russell can't hold this 106.20, we don't see that bid, I'll be looking for a pushback down to 4. But overall, as long as things all come in this area together, do expect some relief. Keeping an eye on the video here. The buyer will step in. Amount 1 here. Solid bounce off our 949 video. Watching as we react back into our value. Need to see us push above, or that will be resistance. Russell looks like it wants that 104. As long as NVIDIA is able to hold this blue box here, this 49 to 47, I think that you're just waiting on the Russell to find this low. It's a nice little inflection point, a little scalp trade with both of them coming in and finding buyers. But again, we need to see a pushback over value. So we'll be watching this 104, 105 on RTY here, seeing if a buyer is willing to buy this tail. I'd like to see, again, this area hold off. As NVIDIA just chops. Russell coming down into target now. First test into 105. Lower is into 104, right? So you have like a 1 point here where we're just looking for buyers to defend. Your 104 is your 30-second opening range high. And this 105 is a previous day inflection point on Friday. So it's a good area to test to see if buy side's still willing to defend this area or have to do lower retrace. A good first risk off on NQ if you're trading based off of the Russell and Nvidia coming into this low. Just need to see a pushback over value high, previous value high on Nvidia here, and a recovery of our current value. We want more, just a nice inflection point. Again, just this 16 to 11 area has been acting as a supportive bid over and over and over again. It's the bottom of our distribution, and we're now pushing back up into the high of the distribution. So good area to put, just move stops up if you are scalping this. I just risked off one. It's the same thing for ES, right? We have our previous value here, value high, and our POC. We have our current POC here, and our current value high here, off of PVZ. So what we're doing right now is we're trading between the previous period's value high, right, and the current value high, which creates a zone for you, which is why we've marked them to extend, or shown them to extend. So we are currently trading between this area. So until we see a pierce below, above that 85.25, that's your risk off, right? And until we see a push below this area, this is where you're looking for buy side to be present. Or another way to look at it is, this is your current profile. We have buyers willing to accumulate here. We have sellers willing to accumulate. Hell. This is a range. But until you see either one of these tails break and show acceptance, trade the range or wait for the break of the range for expansion. As soon as we're able to find a local low for the Russell and we're looking for Nvidia to oscillate at this low, all of a sudden we have a great trade. I have one runner left, just break even here, but I'm mostly risked off into 30s, just looking to see if we can now build that POC on NQ, and the Russell can build a higher low here. Target above is, of course, we've got our 30, and then above that 36, and then 42 on NQ. Same targets as before, literally the same trades as, I don't know, an hour ago. You guys have any questions, or are we starting to get the hang of finding these local pivots and trading around them? Questions, questions, questions? You missed the bottom. I mean, you don't, I mean, it depends on what you're trading, but like for me, I didn't get in at 11, so I got in at 8. Right? We find a low, stacked shows us our low. We know this is where we want to see a supportive bid. I just am waiting for that secondary move thing off it. So for like me, this is right. again, like it's not always going to be perfect, especially when we're choppy. But if we can find areas where we're looking for price to be at an inflection point, know that this is a relief area. Like either this is going to maintain our current auction or this is going to be a huge shift. So like if this doesn't hold, that'll be a really big deal. Then we look for more downside, but until then, like what it is. It's continuation of value rotations. You just couldn't pull the trigger. Understandable. But I feel like the risk, like you can have a pretty tight stop at that low to still play the rotation. But I mean, it's on you. Whatever you're comfortable with. Oh, you did buy bid, yeah. So far, rejecting our value low on the Russell, back into our pivot at that 106.20. Just keep in mind that with that rejection, don't have acceleration, right? We're completely reliant here on tech to carry. What you want to see is RTY being able to double bottom here or build a higher low at this 105 for continuation. And you want to see NVIDIA be able to reclaim our overnight high at 54. Or this will mark the high here. Same thing with ES into our value high. There's just not a ton more upside here until we see the Russell show if it wants to bottom out. Which makes it a really great scalp target. We're looking for the ability to pop. We're looking for the Russell to be really, you know, not hold here and then show acceptance back over value. Without it, it just becomes a bit bullish. It's your zone here. Same thing for, and of course, with Arthur. It's now holding his resistance. Price to be able to build. I mean, I gave you guys the exact trade and what needs to happen for the trade valid. Video holding this low, Russell holding, yes, holding low. You have all three. Okay, a push. Really that simple. You don't need to. The market found a pivot. Either the pivot holds or it doesn't. If it doesn't hold, then we have trend continuation down. The important area here on NVIDIA, retesting our recovery of value at this 51. Seeing if 51s can bid or if we'll need to push back down. If it doesn't hold, you're kind of running into some issues. You want to see tech be able to hold higher lows, especially semis. So this 51 is pretty key. Looking for a buyer to step in on the recovery of value. Again, Russell still rejecting our value low. Good to see a push above. So either you're in runners or you're waiting for a recovery of value. Later, Ty. DME. Is it finally time? Is it MOAS time? Has there been enough accumulation on BTC at this like 65 to 70? I think it's time, Kevin. Any news for what ratio? Like in general? Or a specific stock? General. Most of the news is done for the day. Nothing really left other than like the bond auction close at the end. Bills are done. Just have your notes. Earnings. So earnings are tomorrow.
Fitch Ratings say global market fund assets under management grew significantly in 2023.
I feel like Theta Gang has won earnings every single earnings for like the last 4. It like goes sideways for a couple days, destroys options, and then chooses a direction. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know. Regardless, I would not buy options in the GME ER. Sounds like a waste of your money. Unless you're selling them end of day today. Those are going to get IV ripped. Oh, okay. Just battling with VWAPs right now. There's nothing really to say. Either VWAPs hold on this push below, liquidate some stops, and then push right back up, or we'll go for that deeper retrace. So really just watching to see if we recover 104s here on the Russell, or if we're going to need to come down. If we do, you've got another 3 points down on RTY to 101. That is your 30-second opening range mid, where we see some resting liquidity. And below that, you have your 30-second opening range low at 90. So really just trading ticks right now. Video holding a higher low, just rotating around value. But yeah, I mean, there's really not too much to say. Rotating ticks around VWAP on both the Russell, ES, and basically just waiting for directionality. NQ VWAP has a bit more room down to 506, but ES and RTY are both at it.
Hello, everybody.
So
Like a very exciting ES day so far.
yeah, good. Pretty range bound, but been tradable.
Yeah.
NQ definitely the better trade.
Yes. It does appear that way. Instant coffee? I would never.
Have some in the pantry, but usually it's just to like mix with like a hot chocolate package. To be honest.
Yeah. Okay. If I'm like camping Even then, it's half and half, man. You know, French presses exist. You
Yeah.
really, you don't need to.
But yeah, if you've never tried it with do like half with a pack of hot chocolate mix, that's a good move. Something sweet. Usually just a French press enjoyer. You talking about like Bailey's? Go. I'd personally like to see like a liquidation wick before I attempt the longer down. This area is not bad. It just feels like we've traded it too many times. I'd like to see some longs kind of get ripped first. If this works again, I mean, it is what it is, right? Like this 11 to 16 area has been supportive on you so many times. I'd feel a lot more comfortable if the video was over our overnight high. This 82 has worked so many times on ES as well. Just so I could get a lot less comfortable taking this trade 7 times.
We're still holding this like higher degree channel
Yeah.
as well, but we're not. We're like in the middle of it. So, which makes sense on both sides.
Yeah.
Like even back into 70s are getting that 90 test, and then
Actually rotating ticks around V1. I mean, like this, like if you look at tape, like there's clearly a buyer here that's willing to defend this like 82, 83 is like getting a decent amount of size actually. But I just am done. I've used all of my attention that I was willing. Yeah, I keep my NQ on a 5 filter, and I keep my ES on a 15 filter. What are the liquidity levels on Bookmap right now for ES? If at any point we see liquidity pull away and then we see it kind of come in below VWAP, just know that that's someone that's preparing for basically a break below and trying to absorb stops, which is kind of what it's showing right. Like they'll probably take out that liquidity and then we'll do like we'll go a bit lower and then do a higher low, and whenever you see like liquidity start to like really show that like deeper color below, a sign of someone looking to
Fed bids
absorb
for
all
two-year
the
notes total
stops.
$0.
There's just so many times we can test this area before like we need a look below. I mean, to be honest, NQ still is just trading our levels perfectly. Just holding POC, we just need to see that look below, man. Or a look above. Either one. Get me out.
Yes, there we go, Surf.
Hmm.
At 1 p.m. Eastern Time, the US sells $66 billion in 2-year notes, prior bid cover of 2.49 and a prior high yield of 4.691%.
Hey man, you take what you can get, sir. It's ES testing down into this value low here. You can get back over VWAP. We can look for those oscillations back to value high and failure here. I would expect pressure down under value low towards daily open, but must respect balance until balance is broken.
At 1 p.m. Eastern Time, the US sells $66 billion in 2-year notes, a prior bid cover of 2.49 and a prior high yield of 4.691%.
What's my average on what? Oh, I think on this entry, I'm in at 46s on this last attempt. Looking for $1. I'm about half out though.
Biden administration says progress has been made on hostage talks over the weekend.
No, I did. Hondo? I was just looking it up. I'm in at 0.45. Average sell 0.71. Looking for $1. It's a crypto. I don't know if that's what you're talking about. Yeah.
Decent kind of step up there on VWAP. There's just not a lot of sell side desire into it. Buyers snapped it back. You can clear 85 and you go look the 2 points into value high. Watch for 85s to stay offer and look under VWAP for back down. Respect balance. And Russell top of kind of this sell range, I guess you could call it. There's a mini auction above we're testing.
Shortly expecting the results of the 2-year note auction, I'll lead with the bid to cover ratio.
Yeah, I just closed half. One of the BlackRock names. We've been looking for $1 on this thing for so long.
Treasury when issued 2-year yield about 4.59% before the $66 billion auction.
I got back into Pendle and Velo, on Friday, I think. It's so weird buying things at such a higher price when you got in like the last cycle's way lower. Feels awkward, but you know, it is what it is. All the memers switched over to the base names from Soul.
2.62, 2.62, high yield 4.595%, 4.595%.
It would be great if Nvidia could hold here.
The
Recover
US sells
or
$66
ETHI.
billion in 2-year notes and awards 49.16% of bids at high. Primary dealers take 13.36%, direct 20.88%, and indirect 65.76%.
I think Chipotle might get to 3K before it splits. It's so crazy.
I feel like after the split, it's gonna be impossible to trade.
Hopefully it's
Is it really gonna move that much? Like,
I don't know. And it'll hopefully move better than currently is.
yeah. It's like, what's a dollar then? Like in terms of like market cap ad, gonna be massive.
The Butte. What's the percent he's talking about? You talking about Mario? Evan?
I need to do the math.
Well, they're doing a 50-to-1 split, so he just means like, what is that value of a dollar? Oh, I don't know. I wasn't listening.
Yeah.
Those were 2-year notes,
Noise.
though.
Noise in the ear. Well, it's not noise, but that's what it was this time.
I'm gonna head out. I might come back later if we get out of this range, but I've got things to do and I'm not willing to trade this
Yeah.
anymore.
There's not much to say here, anyways.
Here's from this morning. I I might be back later. I don't know. We'll see. But regardless, I will see you all tomorrow at 9:30 a.m. Actually, I'll see you for class after F4. I lied to you. Bye.
He's out.
Peace. Yeah. Just played that rotation a couple times. Nothing major, but good money to be made as long as you're willing to wait on those rotations. Next free stream is Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. Tomorrow, if you're a premium member, I will be live 9:30 a.m. for the day. But rest of you guys, peace. Please like the stream. It helps. You guys have a good one.